the same, but I've been feeling like a moment can't go to waste. I let go of your name, girl. I figured that was it. I stopped playing your game, girl. Yeah, I thought I could quit. I'm all up in my head, I'm sorry for what I did. Wish I could have it unsaid. Just make it right instead of treating me like I'm dead. Is it too late to trust it?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, we back. We're back for some SharePoint news. Gonna do the weekly newsletter roundup. Yes. Y'all excited? It's Valentine's Day. Whoop! Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. And it's Friday. Gonna be a good weekend, right? I do believe so. We're gonna do some fondue tonight with the kids. How fun! What are you guys doing on your agenda for Halloween? Happy Valentine's Day. Got big dinner plans, got party plans. What's going on with y'all? Getting stuff loaded up here. Kind of jumping around meeting to meeting, knocking stuff out. Been a pretty productive Friday. How about you guys? Productive for you too? Let's bring the tunes down. Let's get ready. Do this every Friday, so thanks for jumping on or catching this on the on demand. If so, if you do watch this on demand, let me know you're watching it. I'd appreciate that, other than a view count. So feel free. Do a little commenting. But yeah, we're gonna do our newsletter today. We're gonna go through the last 7 days-ish of SharePoint news and kind of talk through what's been going on in the SharePoint space. Always exciting stuff, right? All right. What am I missing here? That going. I got that going. That going. All right, let's switch on over and check out the newsletter. All right. So, if you don't know, we're Bamboo Solutions. K Creative right here. That's my alias. Kevin Townsend. If you want to reach out to us through email or something like that because you just have questions or whatever, sales@bamboosolutions.com works for me. Or you can just comment down below. Reach out to me that way too. You should see on the screen now, here's our newsletter that we put out every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Great compilation of all kinds of news in the Microsoft's Azure, Office 365, SharePoint Online space, SharePoint in general, actually. So yeah, good stuff here. Broken down into 3 sections if you're not familiar. Got the top news stories, got the around the blogosphere. Top news stories coming from those media outlets around the blogosphere, coming from the people that do this every day, this kind of work, and are providing tutorials, blogs from MVPs and enthusiasts and evangelists and, you know, that kind of type. And then we got our SharePoint events. We'll go through all the crazy assortment of Microsoft related events that are going on here around us so that you can get plugged in. All right, let's do this. Top news story. Cumulative. I did this last week too. Cumulative updates for SharePoint 2019, 2016, 2013. What are we talking about there? You can go click on those. You can check out the different details within those cumulative updates if you're interested, or if you're in that administrative side of things. Bada boom. You're probably familiar with that already. But there are the February 2020 versions up and out. Check it out. Amazon gets injunction blocking Microsoft's Pentagon cloud contract. What? Yeah, still fighting over this, huh? Seems like we already got past this. I thought they awarded this thing already. Is that not the case? I don't know. What was y'all's impression of that? I thought so. But anyways, this coming from thestreet.com. Who is this? Who wrote this? Tony. Tony wrote this. He says, a judge granted Amazon.com get report. Okay. An injunction seeking to block a $10 billion contract the Pentagon awarded to rival Microsoft to build the cloud infrastructure for the military's computer system. So a court notice announcing the injunction was filed on Thursday, but wasn't public, according to multiple news outlets. The ruling would temporarily halt work on the joint enterprise, the Jedi Project. How cool is that name? Legit. The project cannot proceed until further order of the court. Yep. Not cool. So, a stoppage there. Any details on for how long? According to reports, Trump, Oracle, all right. Amazon's cloud business, AWS, is the market leader. Okay, Amazon shares were down 0.08% Thursday to 2158.25, while Microsoft was down 0.19. Zoinks. Okay, yep, good stuff to know there. Jedi contract on hold. Any Survivor, hello, are you going to SharePoint Fest? I wish I was going to SharePoint Fest. You going to SharePoint Fest? Maybe. Maybe. It would be fun, huh? Do we got any links today for SharePoint Fest? Well, I guess we'll talk about it down below, and we'll click on that and check out what's going on at SharePoint Fest, where it's at, how much it costs. We'll look at that stuff here in a moment. So, continuing on, top news story. SharePoint security fixes released with February 2020 PU and offered through a Microsoft update. Pushing those out through the update. You better check yourself before you update those things. Security fixes, though. You know how those go. Look how that went for the UN. Too early? Too soon? Check those out. So SharePoint patching best practices. Stefan. What's he talking about over here? SharePoint best practices. Here we go. February 11th, 2020. If you got 2 minutes, read the summary below. It documents the best practices discussed in this article in short statements. If you have more time, you should also read the rest of the article, which gives more background information on this different subject. So, best practices, if you're not familiar and kind of new to what we're talking about here on this channel, is all Microsoft related. Office 365, which is like a business platform, like, you know, Google has the G Suite. If you're familiar with that, this is Microsoft's offering. Anyways, there's a whole suite of products in that suite of things that Microsoft provides, right? And SharePoint being one of them. So there are a lot of best practices around that particular product. And here we are with a list coming from the senior escalation engineer for SharePoint products and technologies at Microsoft, Stefan. So let's see what he says here. If you got 2 minutes, read this summary. So the general summary here, got a lot of general recommendations. Evaluate and install security updates, test environments, virtual servers, backups. Okay. I'm just going to skip through some of this and see if there's anything. How quickly should security updates be installed? Let's see what he says. Preferably within a couple of days. The longer your SharePoint environments operate without the latest security updates, the more likely you are to end up like the UN. Do packages marked as security update only contain security-related fixes? No. SharePoint updates are cumulative, so each security update includes all fixes that have been released for both security and non-security related issues up to that point for that patched component. Is it okay to install only the security updates and not the non-security release monthly? Although it is supported to install only those packages which include the security updates, it is recommended to keep SharePoint Server fully updated by installing the latest SharePoint updates, regardless of whether they're security or non-security updates. Okay. Cool stuff. More details. There's a couple links here for 2019, 2016 specifically on updated product servicing policies. And then he's got his general recommendations there. So I'm not going to go into much of that, but yeah, good best practices there coming from the source. If you're in the SharePoint space, you might want to check that out. You're probably following a lot of those best practices already, I assume, and I hope. What else we got? Office 365 improvements include Fluid Framework Preview Expansion, Visio, co-authoring, and SharePoint perks. A lot. Redmond Mag. RedmondMag.com. This is Kurt. Kurt over at Redmond Mag says, this week Microsoft announced a bunch of product enhancement milestones for users of Office 365 apps. Fluid Framework Preview Expansion. If you're not familiar with the Fluid Framework, maybe we'll get a little definition here. Microsoft announced on Wednesday that its Fluid Framework Preview is now available for all Office 365 enterprise customers worldwide. Heck yeah. The Fluid Framework, which adds enhanced collaboration capabilities across Office 365 applications, was first demonstrated in May at the Microsoft Build Developer event. An early preview of the Fluid Framework was available last month for organizations that get the targeted Office 365 updates, but now its release has been broadened. So supposedly, he says, user collaborations get enhanced on an improved scale among multiple users when using the Fluid Framework, which has its own user interface. Okay. The particular Fluid Framework components currently available with the preview, this is what we want to know, include the following items, according to the homepage. Action items, so you can keep track of tasks, assignees, and timelines in a table. Mentions, so you can tag your colleagues using @ anywhere so they can easily find relevant sections. Tables, so you can create a table that suits your needs. Date, so add dates to easily keep track of upcoming deadlines or highlight overdue tasks, and then checklist. Take items off as you complete them. Here we go. So Microsoft previously described the Fluid Framework as a web-based platform and componentized document model for shared interactive experiences. Does that make sense? Let's see if we can find a real quick. I know they used to have some great little animated images that described. Here we go, right here. Hopefully I can blow this thing up, or size. Blow the size up, make it bigger. Just to be clear. Where's that image? I just saw it in the search result. VentureBeat. Got too much stuff loading here, man. Here we go. Can I make this thing bigger? Open image, new tab. That's a little bigger. I guess what you can... Yeah, it's really bad. What you can see, though, is that there's a table here in Word where this person's working, and there's a table over there in Teams. And as one is updating in Word, it's happening in real time in the Teams table. So cool. So anyways, real-time co-authoring across platforms or apps, I mean. Really neat stuff. So anyways, that's going general availability. Is that what I said? General GA? Now available, it says. At least these sections or features are. Dates, tables, checklists, etc. Which was what I just demonstrated. That was a table on that view. What else we got? Visio for web co-authoring rollout. Microsoft on Monday announced the rollout of a real-time co-authoring capability, and it's Visio for the web application. It's available for organizations having a Visio Plan 1 or 2. Co-authoring capability lets users simultaneously edit diagrams. It uses a presence indicator to identify the various collaborators as the changes get made. Now you got this thing called XLOOKUP general availability. On Monday, XLOOKUP feature in Excel had reached GA, commercial release status for Windows and Mac OS users. It's also available for Excel on the web users. So XLOOKUP allows users to search for a value vertically and horizontally within a spreadsheet. It apparently replaces Excel's VLOOKUP function. XLOOKUP is the successor, they're saying, to the iconic VLOOKUP function, which has been one of the most used functions in Excel. There you go. Yammer and SharePoint library storage. This was exciting. Were you excited to hear about this? I was. Microsoft on Wednesday announced that Yammer data is now saved on SharePoint Online document libraries. Taking us some time, but we're excited to share that all the new photo and files uploaded through Yammer and Office 365 connected communities are now stored in the community's default SharePoint document library. The stored data inherits the security protections of SharePoint Online. Saving Yammer data in SharePoint Online document libraries also opens up other capabilities such as e-discovery, data loss protection, in-geo residence for files at rest, and other custom policies. Yeah. Whoop. What else? Microsoft cautioned that with this change, it's making a change to the Yammer Files API, so it'll be favoring a new /small file upload API while deprecating the /pending attachments API. So take note of that. SharePoint Next Steps feature. Last week described an expansion of its Next Steps Help Tips panel for SharePoint users. We did talk about this last week. Next Steps can be accessed from the megaphone icon located in the upper right side of the SharePoint team site in both classic and group connected team sites. The idea behind Next Steps is to improve the first run experience. I'm just excited for private channels in Teams to come to Microsoft Government Cloud next month. Amen. Yeah, have you used those private channels? I was kind of shocked to know that it builds its own site collection for that channel. If I understand that correctly. I was like, wow, that, you know, in the old days of SharePoint, building a whole site collection just to have a separate document library seemed a little bit like overkill, right? But not in the new days. The modern SharePoint world, site collections for everyone. But yeah, I'm excited for those too. I actually haven't worked in the government cloud in a little bit, but I'm sure everyone over there has just been begging for pretty much that environment to become feature parity with, you know, regular Office 365. Site collection, all the things, amen. What else we got here? So the idea behind the Next Steps was to improve the first run experience of SharePoint end users when they are first learning to upload files or post news articles for viewing on a team site. Users also get tips on how to invite team members and how to add applications to a team site. Cool. What else we got? Electronic discovery announcements. Microsoft also described some Office 365 e-discovery product improvements earlier this month, including new e-discovery capabilities for Microsoft Teams and Yammer apps. Microsoft's now rolling out the ability to put legal holds on Teams content. That's good. A new conversation reconstruction capability lets investigators identify relevant chats by using targeted queries. That's pretty cool. Yammer eDiscovery is now available. Microsoft is also previewing advanced eDiscovery for Yammer, which will get the conversation reconstruction feature later this year. Cool stuff there. Really cool stuff. All right, what else? What else? Microsoft backtracks on plans to force Bing on Office 365 Pro Plus users. Backtracking, you know they would, right? Like, hey, we're gonna just kind of change your search engine because you're using Office 365 to be Bing related so that you can use the Microsoft search features. Hope you're okay with that. Apparently no one was okay with that. At least not a lot of people. I was okay with that. But I also drink the Kool-Aid. So, what are we saying here? Paul Thurrott over at Thurrott.com says, as expected, Microsoft has backtracked on its plan to force Office 365 Pro Plus users to use Bing as their search engine in Chrome. They heard concerns about the way we were planning to roll this value out. A new post at the Tech Community Forum explained. He says, most importantly, we heard that customers don't want Office 365 Pro Plus to change search defaults without an opt-in. And they need a way to govern these changes on unmanaged devices. Based on your feedback, we're making a few changes to our plan. So they no longer will install the Microsoft Search and Bing browser extension for Chrome automatically, a change that would have resulted in the browser's default search engine changing to Chrome. Instead, administrators will be able to opt in to deploy the browser extension to their Office 365 Pro Plus users as God intended. That's a lot. Okay. For now, deployment of the browser extension will only occur via AD-joined PCs, but Microsoft will add a control that will let admins roll it out to non-managed devices in the future. All right. But anyways, they got that under control. Not going to be forcing people, it sounds like, to have that extension installed in Chrome. I missed that eDiscovery bit. Is that just the eDiscovery features in SharePoint brought to Teams? It's eDiscovery and reconstruction of conversations is coming to Teams. Yeah. What was the availability of that? Let me look real quick. Pretty neat stuff though, but it's also coming to Yammer, it said here, later this year. But for, where is it? Here it is. Teams, now rolling out for Teams. A new conversation reconstruction. That's pretty neat, right? Conversation reconstruction. Like, do a search and then you get the whole conversation around that topic. That's awesome. That's part of that cool stuff that's going to be like Discord does. Yeah, that's going to be part of Project Cortex. I bet you it's going to be all intertwined with this amazingness to pull the context out of search terms. What else we got? How to use Edge's tools to protect your privacy while browsing. Let's check it out. This is over at theverge.com, coming from Barbara. Barb, thank you. Version 80 of Microsoft's Edge browser, now based on the Chromium source code, launched on January 15th, and with it came an increased focus on privacy. Everything's about the privacy. Edge includes tools to block both first-party cookies used to keep you logged in or remember the items in your shopping cart, and third-party tracking cookies used to keep track of your browsing activity. So you got first-party and third-party. Got it? Below are instructions on how to change your settings to see what trackers are stored on your browser and delete any cookies. We also address how Edge deals with fingerprinting, another method of tracking which identifies users by collecting details about their system configuration. So just the configuration of your computer is a thumbprint in itself, or a fingerprint, that companies' websites can use to track you. It doesn't even have to be specific to you. They can just kind of infer that a computer with this makeup is probably you. Anyways, the new version of Edge blocks trackers by default, which is really cool. To change your protection levels, you can do these things and adjust your tracking settings. Yeah, clean up your cookies. Good post here on how to ensure that you're walking the web with good privacy settings enabled. There you go. You know what I didn't post in chat yet was the link to sign up for this newsletter. If you're interested, I'm just going to do that real quick. Grab that. Paste that into my unified chat so it goes out to YouTube and Facebook for me as well. There we go. Little registration link there to get on the MailChimp newsletter. Last one here for top news stories. What to expect in Microsoft's new Windows 10 20H1 release, due soon. I believe this is the one I just installed yesterday. Let me see here. Can't see in the screenshot the version number in the corner, but I will say the version number of Windows changed. It does have this new layout to it. It used to be like 1954.22, you know what I mean? And the notification came through this time with a format more like what I just highlighted here, which is interesting. So you can see here on my desktop, though, they still do print the version number, and it still looks very similar to what it used to, but notification for the... So what are they saying here? Looks like it'll finally be giving Windows users something to talk about after a year's worth of vanilla updates. Using Microsoft's Insider builds as a guide, you can expect the most significant changes in the Windows subsystem for Linux, Cortana, Windows Search, and your phone. Also the usual mix of small utility improvements and convenience. So before we dive in, they're saying, who is this? It's coming from Mark over at PCWorld. Microsoft representatives for now have declined to comment about what. But in build 19033, Microsoft signaled that it chose 2004 to avoid confusion. Okay, all right, just talking about version and all that. So a little bit of a description on maybe why the change in the formatting there. So Windows Subsystem for Linux 2, the real deal. I don't know if you guys have been using WSL2, but I have to run like Ruby on Rails apps and things like that in Windows 10, which is so cool that I can do that now. I can pretty much run that native Linux experience through a terminal. Really, really neat stuff. But WSL2 broke with these insider builds recently, and it had to do something with the VM, I thought. So let's see here what they say. Microsoft added the Windows Subsystem for Linux as part of Windows 10's anniversary update in 2016. It was mind-blowing. Linux, which Microsoft publicly hammered for years, was now with Windows within it. But the original Windows Subsystem for Linux was hobbled by the fact that it wasn't running a real Linux kernel. Certain kernel modules, such as device drivers, were unable to run. That changed with WSL2, which essentially runs a real Linux kernel inside a virtual machine, even on Windows 10 Home. If you use Linux, you'll be able to place your Linux files within the Linux root file system and access them via the Windows File Explorer, blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, there are still limitations. Microsoft said you won't be able to use VMware or versions of VirtualBox before... Yeah, that's true. That is true. I can't use a virtualization software and have Windows Subsystem for Linux running. I don't know why, but you can only have one or the other. So my VMware currently does not work. Cannot use those. I can only use the Ubuntu WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. And if you look, it's actually broken for me now. I'll show you what happens. So I have Ubuntu installed here, and unless this latest update that I got yesterday or the day before fixes it, this will just crash. Otherwise, it should show me a nice, beautiful command line from the Linux subsystem. Oh, it's back! It's working! It's freaking great news. All right. All right, I will be digging back into that here shortly. Thank you, patch yesterday. A couple of other updates that are coming out. Cortana on the move. Cortana is now a bit less of an assistant and a bit more of an app. In the May 19 update, Cortana separated herself from the Windows search box, and now she's moving on. You'll be able to resize the Cortana window and move it around your screen, just like any other app. You'll be able to type Cortana queries, just like you were able to when it was part of Windows Search. Can I do that? Let's see. Oh, it opened up in the other window. I can move my Cortana window around. All right, cool. They're also evolving Cortana's conversational style to be less of a question and answer session and more of what it hopes will become a dialogue, a personal productivity assistant that helps you in the Microsoft 365 apps. That's entailed some rebuilding of the app itself, temporarily losing some capabilities as new features are developed. We expect the app may still be somewhat basic when 20H1 launches, and that the conversational elements will be added later. Flippy V2O, yeah, I've been using it, man. I have been telling it to remind me to do things, to open apps, to schedule meetings. It's been pretty cool having that on there. In fact, I don't know yet if I can just talk to it. Like, I'm not going to say her name right now because my phone will just answer. But I imagine it can do that too, right? Like you just say, Cortana, remind me, you know what I mean? Pop it up, do that thing. Anyways. Windows Search, what's coming down with that? Dialing it down a bit. Any breakup can be messy, and Windows Search responded by hitting the gym and pumping up the search indexer underlying the instant search results in the Windows 10 November 2019 update. Last year also saw Microsoft add enhanced mode search, which expands the search beyond your libraries, downloads, documents, pictures, things like that, into the desktop and other areas of the drive. But the poor thing went a bit too far, so that Microsoft is now dialing back the search indexer's ability to scour your hard drive, waiting for times when the PC is less busy. Some of the other improvements that Microsoft scheduled for 20H1 actually appear in some stable builds now, including the 4 quick searches buttons that appear at the bottom of the Windows search box. I see. Quick searches. Check that out. You know. Windows Search will also feature new compact previews of web pages when you perform a web search. How do I do that? Oh, I see. Web. Start typing. Let's go look at Bamboo. What do we got? Okay, that's pretty neat. Now you're getting those Bing search results right here. Not even having to open a browser and go. So I can click on that and go. Oh, I gotta jump off this. Dang it, I forgot I had a customer call here in 30 minutes. Dang, ran out of time. That's a bummer. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm not gonna be able to finish the newsletter. I just realized I had a meeting scheduled for right now, and I did not know about it previously. So my apologies. I do have to jump off, but you know, if you don't have access to the newsletter, please do register. The link's in chat. Around the blogosphere, lots of great information there if you're trying to find solutions to problems. These guys have documented it, templatized it, produced it so that you can consume that and then take it back to your workplace and implement. So do pay attention to those. SharePoint events, lots of them going on. We'll be at SP TechCon this next week. Please come join us. I hate to jump and bail on you guys, but I really appreciate your time today. Hopefully you we'll see you next week. So thanks again. Have a good one.